I was ordering something and I pointed to a picture on the menu. She's like, oh, well, it usually comes like this, but do you want it that way? And I look at her and I go, I want it that way.
Tell me why.
Yeah. You know when Beyonce is like, she's like, oh,
Yeah.
you know, well, she doesn't do that. She sounds much better than me, I think.
She sounds different. We'll say that.
Different, not better. Different. I was one of the 4 original Destiny's Destiny's Children. I was one of the children of Destiny.
You were one of the children. So you were like,
There were originally
3?
5 of us. Yeah, it was there were the 4 girls and me.
Uh-huh.
I was the first out.
What made them kick you out? Because I know you got kicked out.
I thought I should have been the lead.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And I don't want to like scream bias, but like someone's dad was the manager, so it was just kind of felt unfair.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, you clearly stand out in the crowd, so
I thought so.
it only makes sense to me.
Yeah, you're saying because I have a slightly deeper voice.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
that's it. Yeah, you're like, yeah, that's why.
That was it. That was it.
You have already tasted some of your tea.
Yes.
So for those steeping at home, we are drinking White Tea Rose Melange by Rishi Tea. You are a big white tea person, I think, right? You messaged me saying you like white tea.
I like white tea. Black tea, not so much. I think if I'm going to go black, then I'm just going to go coffee.
Okay.
That's my...
I totally get that.
Yeah.
For those that are steeping at home, we do 180 to 185. I don't know what your preference is. I do 185. I go a little hotter. And you could steep anywhere from like 4 to 5 minutes. White tea does not go through a lot of processing. Okay. So it's like,
nice.
I don't want to say it's immature because it acts right.
It's born divine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you are, for those that are making white teas at home, sometimes white tea, when you get a white tea, you're literally getting like the nubs, like really like pre-developed. And so if you're doing that, I would say you can probably steep for longer, but we are having proper white tea. So you only need to do 4 to 5 minutes.
Proper white tea. Like it's been developed.
It hasn't been fully processed, but it's like, it is a leaf. It's not like,
Gotcha.
you know, but they all come from the Camellia sinensis plant. So there you go. There's some tea knowledge for you today. How do you feel?
I feel pretty great. I feel like I respect my tea more. That I understand its life journey a bit more. So that's great.
I want to introduce you to the listeners.
Yeah.
This is Rebecca Usoro. So I feel like my pronunciation is good, right?
Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
But I really would rather introduce you as someone who I was like, you know, when sometimes you meet someone, you go, oh, like, we're going to be best friends. Like, that was how I think I told you this. That was how I immediately felt when I met you. We met through, I don't know what you call it, a writing program, a writing competition.
I say a lab fellowship.
A lab, sure. Oh,
Yeah.
Fellowship's fun.
Yeah.
And
Like
of the ring.
Yeah.
Hey! But we were in that. I remember this. I remember we were in that and you were working on another project. So I don't know, it was Zoom. I was going to say you zoomed in. That's so branded. You virtualed in. I don't know what it was. But you had to come in virtually for the first, I think it was only on the first day.
Only the first day. I was in a writer's room on a show. So I just felt sort of like, what if they need me or something?
Of course.
But then I was like, you know, I was zoomed in. The show was totally fine with me doing this thing. And I got serious FOMO. So I was like, tomorrow I'm going to be in person. Like,
I remember when you zoomed in. So I didn't, obviously, like, we didn't really talk when you were zoomed in. No one was like, we were all listening to a writers panel talking of very successful writers. But the next day you came in and we talked for like 5 minutes and I was like, I want to be your best friend. And then we had to, so for people that are listening who don't know this, we had written short films and then we had to, we were recording a podcast audio of what was it? 5 minute sections?
5 minutes.
Something like that.
I remember because the scene I chose was like
mine's going to be 11.
9 pages.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. What? Did you actually choose a much longer?
Well, I chose the main.
Oh, you chose the whole thing, yeah.
Thing. And so me and my actors were going through and just like, we don't need this. We don't need that. Cut that stage direction. We'll do this instead. It was quite the process.
Well, I just remember that we got paired. So
Yes.
the program took two different people who were in the lab, and you were the two people who would go and work with the actors and record your podcast episode on the same day. And I already thought you were great, but then just hanging out with you, I was like, oh, she's so cool. I was like, oh, she's so fun. And that was when I immediately was like, cool, all right, we're friends now. I just decided it. I definitely want to talk about one of my favorite stories that you ever told me was how you changed paths in college to become a writer based on, I want to say it was in San Francisco. Is that where it was?
Yes, it was.
Can you tell people that story? Because I think this is probably one of my favorite stories people have told me in the past like 10 years. I love this story.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. So nice. So yeah, I was, I just finished like my freshman year at Columbia in New York. By that point, like, you know, in my family it was very much like, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. And I saw other friends sort of like picking out their prerequisites and like doing their pre-med thing. And I was like, no, I just could not see myself in scrubs for the rest of my life. And so I'm like, what do I do? I end up visiting a friend in San Francisco that summer, and we went to a Beyonce concert, and it just changed my whole life. I think in part because my parents were also like, you must study at all times. Fun does not exist. I have a funny story. About Britney Spears and NSYNC. Let's cut to that. So I was 8 years old. It's not funny. It's actually very tragic.
Oh, I was going to say, I do love both parties. So if I classic Britney and NSYNC.
Oh, yeah. So actually my dad comes home one day and he's like, I would like to take you to a concert. I know you like Britney Spears. I know you like NSYNC.
Amazing shirt. Are we getting that on camera, Lucas? Amazing.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Choose one and I will take you. And
I'm like, choose?
I got to choose. Well, I had, yeah. And so I'm like going back and forth and I'm like, Britney and NSYNC, Britney and NSYNC, Britney and NSYNC. And I decide to go with NSYNC because it had 5 times the dancing, right? 5 members.
Rationale here.
5 times the dancing.
And let's be honest, I would say maybe 2 of them are really, really good dancers in NSYNC, and then the other 3 are also there.
That is so savage.
Is that? I think they're all talented in different ways, but in terms of dancing, 2 of them really stick out to me. And
Justin and JC.
Yeah.
Well, they're also the leads. I feel like Lance probably could also dance pretty well.
I will say, objectively speaking, that when I looked at NSYNC and I thought to myself, like, who would be the nicest to me? I thought Lance.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's such a nice, he seems like such a nice guy. Like Lance would be the kind of person where he'd be like, hey, I figured you had a busy day, so I brought you a cup of coffee.
Literally, I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say tea.
Oh, I wish.
Cup of tea.
And here's the thing, Lance would know you preferred tea.
Yeah.
And here's what, it's funny, Chris would just bring you a 6-pack and be like, go nuts.
Hope he doesn't. I can't confirm that. I can't. You know me. I can't say mean.
I don't think that's a mean thing. I just mean Chris is more of the party guy.
Maybe.
I will say this. Sorry, I don't want to get us off topic, but I just want to give so much credit to Chris for a second. Do you know the emo pop punk wave of bands that came through? Like the biggest one was probably Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco, but like other bands like, say again?
It was Green Day a part of it?
Not as much. Green Day came before them, but I was thinking like bands like Cartel and Paramore and probably something Corporate and like all these other bands of this like kind of emo, kind of pop punk wave. What a lot of people don't know is when a lot of these bands were going on tour or a lot of these bands needed places to stay, that when they would come through where Chris Kirkpatrick lived, Chris would reach out and let these bands stay with him and give them advice and give them guidance. So as far as like really nice people that a lot of people don't know, like Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC was an incredible supporter of other musicians. So that's great. So I'm just going to give him some credit here.
Well, maybe Chris would also bring out like the snacks.
He might bring
out,
Lance
would bring,
Lance would bring the tea and a hug. Chris would bring the 6-pack and your favorite bag of chips from the assortment pack of chips.
Yeah.
Which for me was like Cooler Ranch Doritos.
Oh, right. You do like those.
Did we talk about that? You say that like, I remember when. Yeah, I remember.
I feel that feels very reminiscent because I think I was like, that's the one kind I don't like. I know.
Do you like nacho cheese Doritos?
Oh, yeah.
That's your phone?
Oh, yeah.
I'll still eat those.
Okay.
Yeah. Or do you like Cheetos?
Crunchy
or puffed?
Not puffed. Can't.
Okay, good. Nope, just checking.
Just crunchy.
Makes sense.
Doritos. My favorite, sour cream and onion.
Sour cream and onion chips.
Yes.
My favorite are sour cream and cheddar Ruffles. That's my favorite chip.
I don't like those.
Okay, so we're just gonna wrap up the podcast now. You're done. Anyway, okay, let's get back to the story.
Anyway.
So you choose NSYNC for 5 times the dancing.
5 times dancing.
Yep.
My dad is like, bet, that's great. He didn't say bet. That is
It's a little more recent, but yep.
He was like, let's go. And then he comes back to me like the next day and he's like, your mother said no.
Wait, what?
She said no.
Well, and you better turn that no into a yes.
Well, I was like, but why? And he was like, I'm sorry, my hands are tied. So I never went to the concert. So no, it's tragic.
That is the saddest story ever. I was going to go to this great concert. How'd it go? I didn't go.
Didn't go. So, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was like crowds or like, I don't know what it was. But concerts were not a regular thing. So, you know, me being in college, like going to the concert was amazing.
Oh, sorry. We're fast forwarding back to college. So,
yes, I was setting a
No, I loved it.
For,
I was just catching people up. So, like,
right.
Concerts weren't a normal thing. Now, fast forward to college and you have this opportunity to go to this concert.
Yes. And it was with my best friend, Lauren. And we went and I think I was also first just walking in really surprised at how diverse the crowd was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, young, old, like every background imaginable. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And we're in this big stadium. At certain points during the concert, like all of us were crying, like just sobbing. I cried like 3 separate times. Like she's so amazing and so wonderful. And like you could just feel this energy in the stadium. And I decided right then and there, I was going to do something that made this many people feel this way at the same time. And that made me as happy as she clearly was performing and doing her thing. So that's when I was like, oh, I think I want to do film and TV, or I think I want to do entertainment. And I think I want to do film and TV because it has the power to do that. And I know I'll never get bored. It hasn't happened yet. I
think, like, I truly do believe that one day you will have the opportunity to share that story with Beyonce. I believe that. I'm manifesting. Do you manifest? I'm manifesting.
Yes, I would love that. I think so too. I think I'll meet her once. I'll just tell her the story and then I can never talk to her again because, you know, you can't meet your heroes.
What I find really, impressive about you, but also perplexing about you is that you see this concert, you already, and I'm assuming some people don't know, obviously you're a star, but some people don't know that you already, I want to say already at this point, you were a trained dancer.
No, not really.
You weren't dancing at this point.
I was in my college's like sort of dance troupe, but I really wasn't training. Like we had like a performance once a semester.
It's so impressive, you know.
Yeah, I guess so. Like I danced when I was younger, and then again, like the whole being a doctor thing. I turned it was in 8th grade, and like, you know, everyone's thinking about what are they going to do in high school, that sort of thing. And I was like, well, I don't see how dance is going to get me into Harvard Med School. So my logic as a child, that is some toxic thinking. Like,
well, this isn't going to get me into Harvard, so I'm out.
Or it's genius, as in 5 times dancing. It really went either way.
No, the 5 times dancing thing, like that, really, that plays for me. That's good logic.
That tracks. So I just quit. And then I remember like I ended up doing track like my brother, but that was never really my thing. And then my senior year, when like the stakes were, you know, gone because you're already in your colleges, I was like, I'd love to do dance again and like theater. And, you know, my parents were like, no. So then in college, that's when I like kind of started doing it again. So
what I was saying is perplexing and impressive at the same time is you are a dancer. Okay.
Yeah.
You are a writer.
Yes.
You are an actress.
Yes.
You are, as of, I want to say, if you hadn't done it before, you certainly have now, a director.
Yes.
I feel like I can call you a producer. I don't know if you like that title or not, but I feel like I can.
It's fine.
Okay. we can say that.
Yeah, I think so. I think especially if you are a filmmaker, and particularly like in this last thing I did where I'm the actor, writer, director, you end up producing. Yeah. Essentially.
So you do all these things and then you're just like, yeah, I could do more. Like, I just don't. I find that like very impressive at all the stuff that you do, but super perplexing. But I just love that as far as and please correct me if I'm wrong, the writing and the performance and maybe the dancing all emanate from that one seed of like, I want to make this number of people smile the way that Beyonce did and affect this number. And it all like sprouted from that one seed. Like, does it get better than that? I don't know.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah, I think so. I think I just love the arts. That was the other thing why I chose film and TV, because it has all the arts, right? It has like music, it has movement, it has theater. And I was like, okay, I want to be able to do all of the arts. So let me do that.
Well, what's so funny is, so going back to that where we met in that lab, each person had written a short film. So there were 10 short films. And someone, I don't remember who it was, but someone had shared out the link to all the writers so you can read everyone else's scripts. I think I told you this story.
Oh, yes.
But I am like reading through the scripts and I'm like, this one's fine. This one I don't love. This one's cool. You know, blah, blah, blah. I'm going through. And I'm sitting next to Jess in bed while I'm reading these. And then I get to yours and I make it 3/4 of a page in. And I turn to Jess, I go, I'm screwed. and Jess goes, just like, what? And I was like, so people don't know this. There were like 10 people. There was a top 10. And they were going to choose the top 2. And so I read 3/4 of a page yours. I go, oh, I'm screwed. And Jess goes, what happened? I go, this is amazing. And
thank you.
And Jess was like, what? And I was like, I can't compete with this. But what's crazy is, and you know, obviously when it comes out, hopefully people will go, or wherever it comes out, hopefully people will go see Family Meeting. But what people may not know, who haven't seen Family Meeting, is it opens with this beautiful, like, dreamscape, almost like a Beyonce video style dance sequence.
Does.
And you as a dancer are going to be able to execute this thing. And I'm like, and as I'm reading this, because I think you'd already mentioned you danced, I was like, cool. So she wrote this, is going to act in it, and has a huge dance sequence at the top. I was like, I'm out. I was like, I'm going to see myself out the back. Yeah. Where do I hand in my resignation? I'm out. I'm out. But it opened so beautifully, and it kind of made me feel like it was a music video.
Oh, good. Yeah, I think it'll give that vibe when people see it. I tell people I'm too close to it now to like know about it, but it is beautiful. I will say that, like the colors.
You're like, everything else is crap. The colors.
If you were just to watch it with no sound, no jokes, the colors would be nice. Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be the only thing that's good about it. I hope not. I will say that this feels like a very nice time to go into the first segment. Do you feel ready?
I would love that.
Cue the music in post.
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh no. Do you want to? No, here, bring in some music. Let's we're not going to play it.
Deep conversations.
Oh my God. All right. So I think this time we don't put in the song. We just put in Rebecca's thing. That was amazing. So the first segment, it's called the Newly Friend Game. It's like the Newlywed Game, but we're friends. And the way that it works is I am going to ask you a question. We are both you're going to write down your answer. I'm going to write down what I think your answer is. And then we'll flip the boards and see if we got the same answer.
Is it only one question?
You are going to have one question, and then I'm going to have a question.
Okay.
And the question for you, and this is a toughie for me, obviously. You know your own answer.
Sure.
Based on the story you just told, what is your favorite Beyonce song? So, let me make this easier because I don't want to like make you Sophie's choice here. What's your favorite Beyonce song right now? If you had to pick right now, it doesn't mean it's your favorite of all time.
Sure.
What you're feeling now. Don't tell me. You're going to write it down. Don't tell me.
Sure. I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, as a Pisces, this is the worst question.
So what's funny is I don't know what that means, but I'm excited to learn what that means. I'm a Scorpio, and I don't even understand my own stuff.
I could tell you all about Scorpio.
I'm going to circle this. This is my guess. This, I'm just going to write down, this is my favorite. Ready to flip your board on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and take your time and flip. Oh no, I didn't even come close.
Well, right now.
Okay,
but countdown, yes.
Okay, so I wrote countdown, and then I thought you also might like Crazy in Love, and then I said my favorite was Love on Top. Now show me again. So you wrote Brown Skin Girl.
Yeah.
And then she wrote, for those who can't see it, she wrote 4 others. So she wrote Brown Skin Girl. Okay. Then Flawless, I don't think I know.
Yes, you do.
Maybe I do, and I don't know the name. Formation, I know. Love on Top, great. Yeah. It's my favorite. And Run the World. Run the World is, to me, It's tough because she writes a lot of anthemic songs, but like that one I think I don't think you can get a better anthem than that.
I don't think so either. Also, the video is probably one of my favorites.
The video's great.
Yeah.
I felt like the reason I chose Countdown for you.
Countdown, it was in my head, but I, for whatever reason, couldn't remember the name.
The reason I wrote it for you is because and this may be a very bad interpretation of you, but the way that I view you and the vigilance that you need to be able to accomplish a lot of stuff in your life, like needs that kind of like 5, but 4, like, you're like, okay, I'm like really focused and I got this done. It's got energy. It like pumps you up, but it's also like there is kind of a rigidity to the song of like, you follow these things, you got to get it done. So that's why I kind of chose that.
I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, I love Countdown.
Countdown's great, but talk to me. So what album is Brown Skin Girl on? Because it sounds familiar, but I don't know if I've...
So this is why I was like, I don't think he's going to get it. This is sort of a tricky one. It's technically on the Lion King album.
I never heard
it.
The
Gift?
No, never heard it. Like the song she did for the Lion King?
Not the song, the album experience.
I don't think I heard
from
that.
2019, 2018.
I don't know if I heard it. Now I need to go back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
okay.
let me say this. Let me say this. I really like Beyonce. I think she's super talented and I'm a very big fan. I do not have the depth of knowledge on her catalog as other people do.
Okay, sure.
So like, I want to just admit, I don't know enough that I could be like, oh, this B-side off of, whatever, off Beyonce, like I'm not that good with her.
You don't know Beyonce like you know NSYNC.
I know NSYNC incredibly well.
Okay, great. That helps frame.
One thing that I read that she did, which I was just like, that's the coolest thing in the world. I don't remember what album it was, but she was like, she heard a sound that she liked. So she took it and she went to 2 producers. I think one of them might have even been Skrillex, but she went to 2 producers and she goes, I'd like to hear kind of what you do with a sound like this. So they did a thing and she goes, perfect. She took what they did and let them know she was doing this. Took what they did and sent it to a different producer and goes, cool. Now I want you to do what you do and change this track based on what you do. And like essentially like kept just like taking it, cool, I love what you contributed. And it was kind of like making a stew where everyone gets to put in a little like, oh, I'm going to put in, I'm making this up. Like I'm going to put in onions. And then someone's like, cool.
Gumbo.
Yeah. And she did that with all these different tracks. And that's why they were so multi-layered and complex, was because she had everybody putting in their own. And I was like, why doesn't everyone do this?
That's amazing.
Isn't that cool?
Maybe for legal reasons.
Yeah, that might be.
She has a legal team that can just handle
that's
whatever.
True. Okay. I think you might get this question.
Ooh.
Because I think, and please tell me if you already know the answer, because if you definitely know it, then I'll choose a different question.
Okay.
Beyonce, for you, has served as almost like a North Star, right?
Yeah.
Who, in my life...
I know it.
You already know it? So just skip right by it?
Can I just say it out loud?
Oh my God, please.
Donald Glover.
Oh God, I love him so much.
I already know it.
Now here's the question. How deep can you go on Donald Glover's catalog? Like
Not
Childish
very.
Gambino.
Not very.
Okay. I was gonna go for a question related because that was gonna be my question, was gonna be like that.
What's your favorite song?
What's my favorite Donald Glover or Childish Gambino song? But I don't think you'll get that. So I'm gonna do something different for you based on an earlier comment that you made.
Okay.
And please tell me if you know the answer to this. What was the first concert I ever went to?
Ooh.
I don't think you know that, but you might. If you don't positively know it, we'll make this the question.
Okay, I don't positively know it.
So you ready to flip your board? On 3, 2, 1, give me a flip. Oh, so Rebecca wrote TLC. I wish. No, it was Backstreet Boys. Was the first concert I went to.
Boys. Did I know this? Tell me the story.
It was my birthday. My parents were like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to go see Backstreet Boys live." And that was the whole story. Which, listen, is it the most like traditional thing you'd expect a 9-year-old boy to go want to see? No, but
not particularly, but I love it.
I did. Here's what's funny though. Over time, I really, my tastes moved a little bit more into the NSYNC direction.
Understandable.
But here is the craziest. This is a 100% true story. This is super silly. Okay. I went to visit Jess when she was living in Houston. We went out to breakfast, I think it was, and I was ordering something and I pointed to a picture on the menu. And I was like, yeah, I think that seems cool. And she's like, oh, well, it usually comes like this, but do you want it that way? And I look at her and I go, I want it that way.
Tell me why.
Yeah. So we like had this joke. And then for the rest of the day, as a joke, I would find ways to pull in Backstreet Boys songs into conversation with Jess, driving her crazy. So she'd be like, like she would say, I would be like, a lot of people say they like this shirt on me. And she'd be like, oh yeah, who? And I'd be like, everybody. Like I just like kept driving her crazy. Now, she was like, we're going to go do something fun tonight as a surprise. I was like, cool. And we started heading to the Toyota Center and I'm like, oh, fun. And I was like, and in my head, I go, the Rockets aren't playing right now tonight. I know they're not.
Yeah.
We get there. It's a Backstreet Boys concert.
That is the nicest thing anyone could do for anyone.
But here's the thing. We get there and Jess goes, so you knew? And I was like, no. How would I have known this? And she goes, wait a minute. You're telling me that absolutely randomly you chose to sing conservatively 20 Backstreet Boys songs today, having no idea that tonight I was taking you to a Backstreet Boys concert. I said, I legitimately am that guy who just wanted to sing Backstreet Boys songs. I had no clue.
That's amazing. That's magic. I
was so shocked. Like, let me tell you about the call that changed my destiny. Like, it was crazy. Like, truly crazy. And to this day, I cannot get over it. Like, Jess literally was like, you knew. I was like, I did.
No wonder she
not.
was like so irritated the whole day.
Well, she thought I knew.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to like characterize her as irritated, but she was just like, oh my God, enough. Like I was like,
but
hey, quit playing games with my heart. No, she didn't. And I have to tell you something, like that was a really fun concert.
Oh, I bet.
It really was fun.
I bet.
So I want to come back to, so you see this Beyonce concert, you change your entire life.
Yes.
Can you just give us high level? Like you went to the Beyonce concert, then all of a sudden it's like, do you go to screenwriting or acting classes or what happens?
I guess it feels like, and it's probably a more interesting story if I like changed my entire life, but I did go back to school. I stayed in engineering mostly because I like couldn't convince my parents to let me switch. Mm-hmm. But the idea was like, oh, okay, well, I can like finish my major and then kind of go pursue film and TV. But as I was doing more research, I was kind of like, so you're supposed to work for free for quite some time. And then maybe it becomes a paid job.
Yeah.
That is not much more than like minimum wage, if that. So I kind of started feeling like, oh no, I think I have to like do this now while I'm in college, so that I can like build up the experience. So I ended up actually leaving Columbia and transferring to USC, which is a whole story. But basically I was kind of torn between the two. And I thought, USC, like they like made you make films and versus like just study films. And so I was like, okay, if I hate LA and if like all else fails, I can always come back. But
come back to Columbia,
to New York, just in general. Like
I was going to say, it's interesting that you didn't. Did you consider like, did Columbia have a film school? Or did you think about NYU, or you were just like, I'm going to LA. I don't want to.
No, this is basically what the family meeting is based off of. The story is that my character wants to quit law school. In the story, she's a little bit older.
What a big jump from the original. Yeah.
She wants to quit law school and pursue dance professionally. And so for me, basically what happened was I couldn't transfer schools because I had like spent too much time in engineering. So the idea was like, okay, let me take a little bit of a break. Essentially, like Columbia makes you like reapply to the school as if you're not already
pass.
Yeah, like it's insane. And so I spent some time at home, which was a lot. But the one thing my dad did say was like, if you're gonna, go to film school, like apply to all of the best ones. And so I thought I was just going to go back to Columbia, but I ended up applying to NYU, USC, I think UT Austin.
Is UT Austin a good one? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And I applied a bunch of them and then got into quite a few. And Columbia's undergrad film program isn't as great as its master program. So it was kind of for me between NYU and USC. I was like, all my friends are in New York. Like I know the city somewhat kind of, but I know the industry really happens in LA. And again, like USC kind of makes you take at least one filmmaking class. And I knew I kind of like needed that. I needed like that push of like, here's a camera, go. And yeah, that's when I was literally in Texas deciding between like which coast do I go to. And that's when I was like, okay, well, you push comes to shove. If it sucks, 2 years in LA and then I'm back in New York. And so I went to LA and then I've been here pretty much ever since.
What you just described requires so much confidence and so much like belief in yourself. You're like, I'm going to do this. That's one of the things that I find so inspiring. I mean, there's so many things about you that inspire me, but I do think like about the fact that you, from the jump or from the Beyonce, you were like, I'm going to make a run at this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think, people say I'm like courageous or we're brave for it, but I think it was just like, I just loved it so much.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, I just can't see myself doing anything else. Like I just saw myself doing this thing. And yeah, I just kind of went for it. From
the moment I met you, I'm not trying to butter your bread, but like if you believe in yourself, it makes others believe in you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I met you for 10 minutes and I literally walk away and go, man, I hope she succeeds. I didn't even know you. And I was like, oh man, I hope she makes it. I'm rooting for her.
Rooting for her.
But that also then plays for you on the page. And I read the first 3/4 of the page of Family Meeting. And other than it being wonderful, it just showed you're like, yeah, I believe in what I'm doing here. I'm confident in what I'm writing here. I'm just doing my thing. You know? Thanks. I wasn't looking at your script being like, is she following the rules? You know? Did she bold her slug lines? Like I was,
she doing this right.
Yeah. No, I'm just there and I'm just like in it. I'm like, oh, this is cool. What's this? Oh, yeah. All right. Oh, okay. And then they do the dance thing and there's like crazy lights in the desert. What are we doing?
It was kind of pretty clear that like I was always into it. And I think as I was applying to schools, I also kind of made that clear. So one of the things I did mostly film studies because I wanted to like learn like what had been made so I could figure out kind of what I could contribute to the medium. And one of the, freshman year engineering student, but we had to take a writing course. And one of the like best papers that I wrote was about Disney, please hire me. But like how it was
this for the plug. Yo, Disney. Like, are you doing another Goofy movie? I'm here.
My God. That I would kill. But no, it was about like, the effects of Disney and like, is Disney the matrix in terms of like cultural pedagogy? Like how do we learn about culture? Is it sort of like Disney that kind of frames cultures in this way? Or is it us like creating that? It was much more sophisticated, but
my immediate gut was like, I feel like Disney. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, or like, are we sort of in buying and like participating in it? Kind of like, is Disney just giving us what we want, or is Disney create kind of that sort of thing?
Oh, is it reflecting back, or is it trailblazing?
Right, like, are we in a matrix?
You're going to teach me something different. We're getting to the Teach Me segment.
Love it.
People say I have a lot to learn. I try and use this segment to do that. You can teach me anything you want. It could take 10 seconds. It could take 10 minutes, preferably not 10 minutes because my attention span is that of a wee babe.
I bet it's longer though if you're moving.
It might be. It might be. I feel like you're foreshadowing. Are we moving?
We are moving.
Okay.
I'm going to teach you a dance.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Not a dance, but a style of dance.
Okay.
It's called Light Feet. I took my first class this past week. And it's like a form of hip hop that originated in New York and is now.
As a New Yorker, I'm already into this.
Oh, cool. Yeah. And it's almost like a cipher. Well, at least we ciphered in the class. So like we learn like foundational steps and then all of a sudden we were in a circle and everyone was like, go in the middle. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, just,
So you build on the foundation?
yes.
Because I remember I lived in Chicago for 4 years, and as recently as a few years ago, I saw like, everyone was like shuffling, and I'm like, cool, this has been in Chicago for like a decade, but like nice that you all decided to participate.
That's a similar thing, I think, with this style. Like, it's been in New York forever, and now all of a sudden people are doing it.
Oh my God, let's do it.
It's like in 4 parts. And so the first one is this. And then here. Good. And then you're out.
Out.
And then you're in. So, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out, kick, up, down, out, kick, up, down. It's a lot.
Okay.
You just gotta launch yourself and be there.
You're launching into the step.
And then they were going as fast as like, bum, 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 like it's wild.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah. All right, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 8. Out, kick, up, down, out, kick, up, down, out, kick, up, down, out, kick, up, down. Yeah, did it!
I'm like, I give myself a good 6 out of 10 there.
No, you were great.
So I watched your dance videos online. You post them.
Nice.
And you seem like you're in great shape when I watch those. Like the actual energy that is required that you're bringing in those videos. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not in that. Clearly, I'm not in that shape. I'm like gassed from doing what we just did. I love dancing.
Yeah.
Not great. I'm a great wedding dancer.
Gotcha.
So if someone needs someone to like turn up at a wedding, I got you.
You're that person.
100%.
Those are the best kind.
It's crazy to me that you have time to do, because you were just like, next class is on Tuesday. How do you find the ebb and flow of where to focus? Like, I'm making this up. Like, I want to focus on dancing this week while I'm doing my writing during the day. Maybe next week I'm a little more focused on the acting side of what I do. Like, how do you do it in a way that doesn't splinter your brain into 80 pieces?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think in the past when I was working, like the sort of 9 to 5, I would just like wake up super early and write in the morning, go to the job, and then usually my brain would be too tired by that point, and so then I would dance in the evening.
So the job was like a writer's room?
It was like I was an assistant for a number of years.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So when you say, and I'm scared for your answer because I know it's going to be something I don't like, when you say like wake up early, like how early are we talking about?
It would be like 6.
No, see, I don't care for that.
It would be.
I knew I wouldn't like it. I don't
it's
care for that.
actually why I'm addicted to coffee. And
I didn't know you're addicted to coffee.
Oh, yeah.
So you've already had coffee today.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why you said white tea or decaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I will already be fully souped. Are we talking, like, when you say addicted to coffee, are you having like 2 shots of espresso, or are you just having like a cup of coffee? Like,
usually just like a cup. Like if I really need some extra juice by the afternoon, I might go grab a latte. But usually just like a cup. It's just like, it's now also part of the like my morning sort of ritual. Well,
okay.
I'll wake up, drink my coffee, write my morning pages, and then get to writing.
Okay, so now we've touched on a few things tonight. We're gonna have to
jump back.
We're gonna have to hit. First, I want to quickly, the easiest one to get off the bat. You make a pot of coffee.
In an ideal day, I wake up, I brew my coffee. While the coffee's brewing, I do like 15 minutes of yoga. And then when the coffee is ready, I write for about a half hour, and then I get into writing, and there's no distractions, and my phone is in the other room. But that kind of rarely happens.
I joke with Jess that I cannot immediately sit down and write. I need what I call commuting time.
Yeah.
So like I need like a half hour of like, let me just play some stupid game that's mindless or something like that to just like kind of like get my head out of it. Once I get into writing, I'm in it.
Yeah.
In a writing session, if you're sitting down in like 4 or 5 hours, are you doing a bunch of different projects? Or you're like, my brain's in one?
Usually, ideally, the day is just one thing. Ideally, the week is just one thing.
Oh,
yeah. Like
even if it's like TV stuff, the week is just one thing.
Yeah. Like I like to sort of be in a world for a bit. Like if I have a deadline for this thing, then like, so like this upcoming week, I have a TV show that I need to really like develop and write a pitch for. And so the week will just be that basically.
Just living with those folks.
Yeah.
You don't like necessarily like, I'm living with these folks and now y'all just hang tight. I'm going to go live over here for about a day, a few hours.
I'll watch stuff. So I'll do research. So if I'm watching comps, then I'll like, okay, let me write on this project in this world. And then let me watch stuff that will be helpful for me in the other world so that by the time I get to the other world, I've read the map and I like kind of know what to do.
It's so funny. I do something very similar. Or like if I need to get into a zone, if I have a TV show that like links me to whatever a project I'm working on, like a very old pilot that I wrote was very much influenced, not at all the same, but influenced by The League.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So I would like watch an episode of The League and I'd just be like, cool. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I'm back in. Another one, which is weird, it was a pilot, which this is going to sound weird because this comp is not TV or a movie. It was when I came up with it, I was listening to an album by The Roots.
Okay.
And so I would need to listen to The Roots to get back into the space.
Oh, nice. So you use music.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Music is great. That's why. So when I was, so much of my writing, especially about my family, was on Beyonce's album The Gift, because it combines like
the one
hip hop and
yeah.
R&B and like African music. And so that's why I'm shocked that like you haven't heard, but I'm not sure. I probably listened to that album more than most because that's literally, I like listened to it for like a full year.
This is going to sound crazy. There is a screenplay that I'm working on, and it opens with this very particular like sequence. And in my head, for whatever reason, I needed this sequence to go to the song Compared to What by Roberta Flack. Do you know that song?
I don't think so.
Okay. We can't probably play it on this podcast, but I will play it for you after. So I made a Spotify playlist of the song Compared to What 30 times in a row, and would just...
Instead of just putting the song on repeat?
Yeah, well, because the way that the Spotify thing was working, occasionally it would like do this weird thing where it was like, oh, we're done with the playlist. We'll go to something else. I'm like, oh, that's annoying.
Oh, yeah.
So I just put 30 in a row, played it, and then would just beep, 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 beep while that was playing in my head, because it was only like 6 pages. But then I got so into just having the song in the background that I was like, no, this is what it needs to be now. And
it just like sets the tone for the whole thing.
Listen, Roberta Flack is a legend. You know, so I was just in there. I was just vibing out to it. I was like, oh, this is nice. And Jess at one point, and it was in my headphones, Jess at one point she goes, still Roberta Flack? I was like, yes. Yeah. Yep. You know it.
Yeah, you heard.
I have the problem where anytime I write something, I always want to. I know I like no one does this except like Edgar Wright, but like I always, or Quentin Tarantino, but I'm always like, something like Compared to What by Roberta Flack would play. Oh, I do it.
Yeah,
I do it
all the time.
It's terrible.
No, it's good because it's like people, when you say it's something like, people know that you're not like actually trying to get that song necessarily, but you've planted a seed in the brain. And like, what happens if maybe we get the song? Who knows? But like, you need to just plant the seed. Because then sometimes some people in reading, they'll go and like listen to it and be like, okay, I get this vibe now. I'm going to keep going.
I kind of want to make mixtapes for all of my projects and be like, this is what you should be listening to while you read this.
Oh, yeah. I do that too. In case it gets made, I'm like, here's the music supervisor.
I mean, Donald Glover wrote, when he did Because the Internet, he wrote a screenplay that went with Because the Internet, and it tells you in the screenplay when to hit the tracks.
That's amazing.
He's the best. I feel like this is as good a time as any to move to our lightning round.
Oh.
So it's 5 questions. They're fast questions, but they don't need to be fast answers.
Great.
Question 1, what is a favorite ritual of yours? So like mine is brewing tea. And we might have just kind of covered it in what you were talking about.
Yeah. Is that my favorite though?
Oh, I feel like you don't like when I ask you what your favorites. Is this the Pisces thing?
This is the Pisces thing.
Can you explain to me what this is?
Pisces, we're here, we're everywhere, we're nowhere, right? Like we just love all the options. We're the last sign of the zodiac. So like in many ways we can relate to and go with the flow with all signs. And so when, in terms of like picking your favorite, it's sort of like, well, they're all my favorite. Like,
so Jess's birthday is in July. We could go to a restaurant and I'm like, so, do you want to get an appetizer? She's like, yeah, I think maybe we do these 4. And I was like, what? We could go to a place that doesn't have appetizers. She's like, should we just order like 6 mains? Yeah. And I'm like, no. I was like, I'm not Mark Cuban. We're not ordering 6 mains I literally, I said to her at one point, I go, I don't think Jay-Z orders 6 mains at a restaurant. And
I think he does.
So she goes, I'll bet he does. And he doesn't even look at them. And she's like, I'll bet he just sends them to other tables to let other people enjoy them because he doesn't need them. He just wants to order them because he can. And so Jess,
she's right.
Jess literally jokes that every meal is tapas to her. She's like, just order a bunch.
That's genius. Does she like leftovers?
Okay, this is a big divide in our house. This is a huge divide in our house.
Okay.
I am very adamantly pro leftovers. So like, not only am I pro leftovers, I think you can rediscover, reinvent what you were eating before in a whole new way.
Yep.
Jess used to be completely no leftovers. Now she'll do leftovers one time based on a different meal. Or she'll do, it is a 2-day max. So after 2 days, she won't eat it again. I will eat something for a week.
Oh, yeah. I ask because it's interesting that she orders so much and then isn't a leftover person.
Isn't it interesting? Isn't it, Rebecca? It is. Maybe she's a Pisces in disguise.
Maybe.
She's a disguises.
Oh,
That's my time, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. You could see me at the Funny Bone in the Chuckle Hut. Yeah.
Maybe a part of her is. We're not going to get into astrology, but basically that's.
I don't even know what she's a Cancer. I don't know what they do.
Cancers are very caretaking people.
Then she must not be a Cancer. No, just kidding. Jess, if you hear this, I love you. And what about Scorpios? And then I swear we'll get back to you.
Scorpios are very intense and very loyal.
Those are 100% me. Super loyal.
Yeah.
Love and loyalty, very big for me.
Yeah, it's like sort of there's like a wall up for a bit, but then once a Scorpio decides that you're their person, it's like, I will die for you.
I am that. I am very, very. I'm loyal to a fault.
Yeah.
Like if you're in my squad, you're fully protected.
Yeah, it's very hard for a Scorpio to let go.
I don't. You're here forever. Okay, sorry. So favorite ritual.
I'll pivot a little bit. Dance classes don't really do this too much, but I love a dance class where like we all warm up together. That's like a nice ritual. Like, you just like. You stretch, you warm up. A lot of times choreographers will like in sort of the grooves of warming up, plant some of the choreography just so you can get in your body.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Like you're all moving as
sign
a group.
of a good teacher.
Yeah. So that would be my favorite ritual is like a dance class that like we all warm up together.
I remember once I was 22. I use a phrase a lot where I say I'll try anything 4 times. And and this guy goes, "Oh yeah, anything?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, anything. And I was like, if you're thinking in sexual terms, also yes, but I don't understand what you're referencing here. And he goes, all right, I'll make a deal with you. I'll name a thing, I'll like, and if you do it, like, I don't remember what it was, like maybe $50 or something. I was like, cool. And he goes, dance class. And I was like, done. So my friend, Maggie, who was also there, was like, I'll do it with you. And I was like, great. So we found this dance class, which was a beginner hip hop dance class. And I was like, this is going to be great. I don't know how people define beginner in that place, but like we get in.
What city were you in?
Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember the song? I think it was called Dynamite by Tal Cruz. It's like, I came to dance. All that. The teacher's like, okay, so we're just going to take it really nice and easy. Okay. And we're like, great. She goes, all right, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, flip, 3, 4, turn, twist, arm and down, leg up, kick to the side, and back to and close. All right, so that's gonna be our first. Does anyone need me to review that?
We got to learn our first phrase.
Yeah, she's like, does everyone need me to do that again, or we all got that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Did we all get that? I was like, I spun around. I missed what you did because we turned back. I don't even know what. And so she like sees me and Maggie are like way out to sea, and she goes. She's like, sorry, okay, we're going to do it one more time. For those that already got it.
One more.
Yeah, she goes, for those that already got it, I'll pick up the pace just a hint. And I was like, slow down the pace. And she goes, all right, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, and 3, 4, flip and turn, 7,
turn.
And
kick, up, down.
Maggie and I went to 2 classes. We go to the 3rd class. She drove that day. And we're just sitting in her car outside the studio. And we're both silent. and I was like, we should probably go in. And Maggie's like, yep. And then either of us moved. And Maggie's like, I'm going to go. And I was like, yeah. She's like, yep. And neither of us moved. And she was like, I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, there is a happy hour at the Independent. And I was like, well, I feel like we should probably take a break. We've done this 2 weeks in a row. It feels very tiring. And then I think we went one more time to the dance class, and then we just made it a ritual that we just kept going back to the Independent for happy hour.
Oh, nice.
Because the problem was like, I wanted to dance, I came to dance. But it was like their definition of beginner. It was like expert dancing.
It's a lot. And you kind of never know unless it literally says basic or foundation.
Okay, so that was our mistake.
Yeah. Like you could be in like a beginner class, but everyone's been taking it, so it's really like intermediate.
It was like expert. It was like
or that.
It was like 1, 2, pas de bourrée, twist, kickball change. I'm like, what are we doing? Anyway, okay. Question 2: what is a running bit you have with a friend or partner that makes you laugh, or a family member?
I like quote a lot of, I guess, TV shows.
Sure.
And one of the shows that me and my siblings grew up watching was The Simpsons.
Sure.
And so I oftentimes answer the phone like Mr. Burns. And
Can you do it for us?
Yeah. So when he answers, it's very simple. When he answers the phone, he's like, ahoy, hoy. And so now it's gotten to the point where I say it to my siblings all the time. They say it back. And now there are certain friends who say it also because that's how I answer the phone. And one friend, my friend Maggie, I'm like, ahoy, hoy. And she's like, ahoy, hey. And we just continue the conversation.
I love that. The two things I say from The Simpsons, because I was not an adamant like viewer, but like I've seen a lot of it. The two things I say from The Simpsons a lot are everything's coming up Millhouse. That's
my sister's Millie. We call her Millhouse. We call her Milhusen, Milhusenhoff, Milhusen-Hofer.
So you really make her very German.
I really do.
Yeah, I do that one. And then the other one, my other literal favorite quote from The Simpsons probably is, "These berries taste like burning." It's just anything Ralph Wiggum makes me super happy. Question 3, can you do an impression of one or both of your parents?
My brother, when he was in college, changed his major from chemical engineering to chemistry, which warranted a whole discussion about how he was going to ruin his life with just a chemistry major.
Feel very related, but okay. My what do I know? Those seem similar. Yeah.
So it's like, so how are you going to change your major from chemical engineering to chemistry? Hey, that's it.
You know what's funny? The hey, for some reason, was very intimidating. You're like, hey? I'm like, I don't know. I felt like I was your brother. I'm like, I'm not sure. I could change it back.
I don't know.
And I'm guessing everything turned out fine.
Yeah.
Question 4. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, is there a particular moment that comes to mind?
I mean, a ton of times. I guess there was one pitch I had, and it was to this person who I was like convinced that I was bombing the pitch. Like,
oh, you were sure? You're like, I'm really destroying this.
Oh yeah. Like this is going terribly.
Oh my Lord! And you didn't? Were you just like, should we just call it?
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
I wanted to. I very much wanted to. But I'm like, God, you just gotta soldier through, like just get through it. And so I get through it. I think I ended up like, let me just focus on this other person and not this person who's just making a face like they do not want to be here.
They're just stonewalling you emotionally. Just like,
yeah. Well, yeah, just like,
okay.
And it like scowling, all that sort of stuff. And I get through the pitch, and this person unmutes themselves, and
oh, this was on Zoom.
This is on Zoom.
Oh, it just got worse. Oh, okay.
I was like, just ignore that box. And they were like, I'm sorry if I was, making a face. I was just trying to not cry. Like, that beautiful job. And I was like,
the person that you were sure was like, you're the worst.
Yeah.
Turns out they were just trying not to cry.
They were just trying to not be emotional. So
I mean, what a great way that could have turned out.
Yeah. So I think it's like a good example of like with imposter syndrome, like thinking like, oh, I can't do this or I can't.
Yeah.
And then oftentimes you find out that like, oh no, you were doing fine and not only fine, but great. So I try to think of that whenever I feel like, oh, should you be here? Or are you equipped to do this? Because that happens a lot. That's why I kept like, God, which one of the millions of examples?
Yeah. For any listener, you weren't like, oh, I don't know if I've ever experienced that. Yeah. Instead, it's like, hey, listeners, she was experienced that every day. So she just had to pick one. No, I mean, listen, I had that when I was in the, when we went to do that lab and they were like, all right, do introductions. And so I was planning when it got to me, just be like, hey, I'm Josh. I'm a stand-up comic. And I also enjoy writing. And my favorite dessert is pie, just like something like real quick and easy, blah, blah, blah. And then like the first person's like, well, I went to Tisch and I've won 14 different screenwriting competitions and I have so many laurels that I dedicated a wall in my house to just recreating all the laurels I've won. And I was like, oh no.
No, you and I were on the same page for that because I was also like, oh, should I have printed out my resume and brought
I was literally going to go into a story about how one time I had apple peach raspberry pie and it was really good, but apparently like no one was doing that.
No one was following that script.
No. Everyone's like, and then I did this and I did that and I wrote for the Pope and I'm like, okay, yeah, of course you did.
I also have a weird, like when I really admire someone, I also get like reverse imposter syndrome and I get in the state of like, you need to meet me. It's very bizarre.
You need to meet me.
I had an assistant job where like a lot of prominent people kind of came through. The only person I really cared about though was Kelly Rowland.
Oh, I mean, legend.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I found myself, she was like in the lobby. I found myself, instead of doing the normal thing of like, hello, it'll just be a minute. Can I get you anything? I like marched towards her and I'm like, hello. I am Rebecca. It's lovely to meet you. And like, I didn't need to be shaking this person's hand. She didn't need to know my name.
She was busy texting in an Excel spreadsheet. Is that too deep of a cut? You know what I'm referencing, right?
No.
Oh my God. I think it was a song she did with Nelly or something. I can't remember, but she's in a music video and she's like texting. And if you zoom in, it's in a spreadsheet.
I think I know what she has, like red short hair, right?
I think
like
so. I think it was short hair. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the song, but I'm gonna. That's another video I'm gonna go home and now watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get like the reverse.
Did she respond?
She was lovely.
Oh,
she was lovely. Didn't at all act like I was being weird, even though I kind of like.
You were.
I was very much being.
I'm not
weird.
gonna let you off the hook. You were.
And then I took her order. She likes egg whites. Who knew?
So do I.
Oh, great.
Just had it for breakfast this morning.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you that the time that when I met Donald Glover, I was just like, I was like. I mean, genuinely, my sister pushed me into him. But at the same time, when I met him, I literally was just like, and here's my thing, and have a good day. Like I didn't do finger guns. I'm not that horrible, but I was like, have a good day. But then he's the one that called me back to be like, where are you going? And I'm like, what?
Oh,
I told you that story. I thought.
I didn't know he like brought you back.
Well, yeah, I tried to leave. I literally was like, hey, just want to say I'm a really big fan and I admire the courage with which you make your career choices. And I'm going to, be cheering you on from the sidelines, whatever you do. Great meeting you and really enjoyed your show. Yeah. And walked away and he goes, hey, where are you going? And I was like, And I turned around and he goes, where are you going? I was like, well, I just figured you probably have a lot of things to do and I didn't want to be, another thing that you had to do. And he was like, there's no one else here. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, sorry, so what did you say you do? Come here. And so I came back over and we had a very long conversation. Changed my life.
Love that so much.
Yeah, I know. He's a legend. Final question for you of the lightning round. What is your favorite tea? And if you don't have a favorite tea, what is your favorite comfort?
I love me like a ginger lemon, a chamomile.
Sure.
Like, yeah, I live in the herbal world.
I would have made you an herbal had I known.
But I knew, I was like, this is, early afternoon. Let me get a little bit of
Little kick.
Yeah.
Little zhuzh. Is that what you're going to say?
I was going to say,
Yeah. Rebecca, it was so lovely having you. This was so fun.
It was so lovely
We have to
being
have
here.
you back again.
Please.
I know.
I'll teach you something. I'll teach you another dance that I'm...
Oh yeah. This time I'm going to, this time I'm going to put on extra deodorant, I think. That's what we'll do. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was Rebecca Usoro. You can follow her on Instagram and Twitter at Rebecca Usoro and on TikTok at Rebecca Usoro. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.